Welcome, seekers of hidden knowledge. Today, we're delving into one of humanity's greatest mysteries. What happens when we die? And we'll explore this through the lens of an ancient, enigmatic text known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The origins. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo in Tibetan, is a funerary text believed to have been composed in the 8th century by the Indian Buddhist master Padmasambhava. However, it wasn't discovered until the 14th century by a Tibetan monk named Karma Lingpa. What is the Bardo? Before we dive in, let's understand the concept of Bardo. In Tibetan Buddhism, Bardo refers to the intermediate state between death and rebirth. The book describes not one, but several bardos, including the moments leading up to death and the afterlife journey. The purpose of the book. This isn't just a description of what happens after death. It's actually a guide meant to be read to the dying or recently deceased, to help navigate the experiences after death and achieve liberation from the cycle of rebirth. The stages of death. The book describes the dying process in great detail. As death approaches, the elements that make up our body, earth, water, fire, and air, dissolve one by one. Each dissolution is accompanied by specific physical and mental experiences. The clear light. Immediately after death, the book says we experience the clear light of reality. This is described as a state of pure awareness, free from all mental constructs. Recognizing this light and merging with it leads to immediate liberation. However, most beings, overwhelmed by its intensity, fail to recognize it. The Bardo of Dharmata. If we don't merge with the clear light, we enter the Bardo of Dharmata. Here, we encounter various peaceful and wrathful deities. These aren't external gods, but manifestations of our own mind. The book provides detailed descriptions of these deities and instructions on how to relate to them. The Bardo of Becoming. If we don't achieve liberation in the previous stages, we enter the Bardo of Becoming. This is where we start seeking rebirth. The book describes how we might see mating couples and feel attracted to them, drawing us towards a new birth. Choosing rebirth. The book warns against entering a womb out of attraction or aversion. Instead, it advises choosing rebirth consciously, with the intention to benefit all beings. It even provides methods for closing the entrance to undesirable wombs. Scientific parallels. Interestingly, some descriptions in the book align with modern near-death experiences. The dissolution of elements mirrors the shutdown of bodily systems. The clear light experience is similar to the tunnel of light, often reported in NDEs. Cultural impact. The Tibetan Book of the Dead has had a significant impact beyond Buddhism. It influenced the Western understanding of Tibetan Buddhism and has been referenced in various works of art and literature. Psychological interpretation. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, saw the book as a guide to the unconscious. He believed the described experiences represent psychological processes that can occur in life, not just after death. Controversies and criticisms. Some scholars argue that Western interpretations of the book, including popular translations, may not accurately represent its original meaning and context within Tibetan Buddhist practice. Modern applications. Today, some hospices and palliative care facilities use adapted readings from the book to comfort the dying, regardless of their religious beliefs. The book's teachings on life. Interestingly, The book isn't just about death. It teaches that by understanding death, we can live more fully. It encourages us to practice detachment, compassion, and mindfulness in daily life. Universal themes. While the details are specific to Tibetan Buddhism, the book touches on universal themes: the nature of reality, the power of the mind, and the importance of how we live our lives. Scientific research. While science can't confirm the afterlife experiences described in the book, researchers are studying the dying process. Neuroscientists have observed increased brain activity at the moment of death, which some relate to the intense experiences described in near-death accounts and texts like the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Practical applications. The book's teachings aren't just for the afterlife. Many people use its principles in meditation and mindfulness practices. The concept of confronting one's own mortality is seen as a powerful tool for personal growth and living a more meaningful life. Global parallels. Interestingly, many cultures around the world have their own books of the dead. The ancient Egyptians had the Book of Coming Forth by Day, often called the Egyptian Book of the Dead. These texts show how universal the human desire is to understand and prepare for death. Modern interpretations. Contemporary authors and spiritual teachers have adapted the book's teachings for modern audiences. These interpretations often focus less on literal rebirth and more on psychological transformation and living fully in the present moment. Ethical considerations. The book raises interesting ethical questions. If we could choose our rebirth, what factors should we consider? How might this perspective change how we view our current life and choices? Conclusion. Whether you view the Tibetan Book of the Dead as literal truth, metaphorical wisdom, or simply an interesting cultural artifact, its enduring popularity speaks to our deep-seated need to understand death and what might come after. It reminds us that confronting death can be a powerful way to affirm life.